Good evening, and welcome to the St. Petersburg By Night podcasting network. Tonight, we present to you our Werewolf the Apocalypse Chronicle, Rage Across Tampa.
Welcome to another St. Pete by Night revamped production. The following is rated for mature audiences and may contain graphic themes that will be distressing to some viewers. As always, we recommend you ensure the safety and well-being of yourself and those around you at all times. Viewer discretion is advised.
Good evening and welcome to the St. Pete by Night Twitch stream where we play St. Petersburg by Night, a massive multiplayer 5th edition World of Darkness Chronicle set in St. Petersburg, Florida. My name is Kent, also known as Misha Kent on all social media. I am the lead storyteller of St. Pete by Night, and it's Tuesday night, and you know what that means. It's time for Rage Across Tampa, our Werewolf the Apocalypse 5th edition Chronicle set just across the bay from St. Pete in Tampa Bay, Florida. Well, you should go follow St. Pete by Night on all social media as it's listed down below and in the description of this video to stay up to date on everything St. Pete by Night related. And if you're interested in the World of Darkness, whether you're a seasoned veteran player or whether you have never heard of it before and you just somehow stumbled across this Twitch stream in a fever dream, you should come join us and learn how to play the game and let that fever dream continue. You could do so by joining our Discord server, which is listed down below. We have one-shots available. We have new tables starting that are going to have seats available at them. There are lots of opportunities to get in on all of the World of Darkness fun. Speaking of fun, I have one of the most fun werewolf pack of players that I have ever had to try and corral, coerce, beg, lie, cheat, steal to get them to join this game. And now we're going to introduce those players. So players, take it away.
Hi, everybody. I'm Champ, Champagne, Casual, because you're knee deep in the passenger seat and you're eating me out. Tell me, is that casual, baby? And I will be playing Aspen Weiss, Philodox of the Silver Fangs.
Hi everybody, my name is Noree. I'll be playing Malicious Jester, the Galliard of the Black Furies.
Hi everybody, I'm Walks, and I will be playing Lucas Shaw, Ragabash of the Shadow Lords.
I am trying my very best to think of a rating for that one, Champ, and I think my rating is going to be ellipses, because I am speechless in regards to a response to that. So we'll just give that one a ... as that seems to be the most appropriate rating for this. So, this is episode 31 of Rage Across Tampa, entitled Fenris. If you're new to the show or weren't paying attention last episode, our dear beloved Malicious Jester finds herself in quite a pickle once again, as she and Lucas had gone to scout out the Cult of Fenris encampment, an RV park located on the outskirts of the city of Tampa. Well, they did their best to not get caught, and unfortunately they did get caught. However, Jester had, I guess the word is, earned herself a conversation with the elders of the Cult of Fenris and an opportunity to maybe break bread or break backs. It's yet to be decided. Lucas, having been let go by the members of the Cult of Fenris, along with Eliza, now scrambles back to the rest of the Sept to try and inform them of this unfortunate turn in events and to come up with a plan for how to free Jester. As our story starts tonight, it is the same night as you have from last week. You have returned back to the cairn, having called Aspen, hoping to meet with her as quickly as possible at the Sept cairn. So our first scene starts there, at the Sept cairn. Aspen, you just dropped Aiden off at Lettuce Lake Park, allowing him to go hunting for the evening as he needs to fulfill his oath to his patron spirit of bringing in a fresh kill each and every evening, when you receive a distressing phone call from Lucas, who asks you to meet back at the Sept cairn, which is located at the Memorial Park, not that far from Lettuce Lake. Charles agrees to drive you there, obviously, noticing the urgency of the situation, and you have sent word to Artie as well, telling him to meet you there. But Lucas, before Aspen, Charles, and Artie arrive, you have a moment with Eliza, who has followed you back to the Sept cairn. Is there anything going through your mind or anything you would wish to speak of before they arrive?
Lucas finds himself in this situation, I guess you would say, for the second time. So he's running scenario after scenario through his head. So he looks really distracted, trying his best to drive, but looks really, really distracted as Eliza watches him.
Eliza studies you from the passenger seat for several moments before reaching out a hand and placing it on your shoulder, on the exact shoulder that you would know another companion to often find themselves perched upon. But her touch is very different. It doesn't prickle the skin. It doesn't cause goose flesh. If anything, her touch is soothing, reassuring, a very unfamiliar sensation for you, as you have spent the better part of the last several years as an outcast, alone, not knowing a kind touch or feeling. So what's your thoughts during that time? What's going through your head as you feel this touch?
He'll flinch just a little bit, not much, mainly because he's not used to physical contact that isn't aggressive. So a tender or a caring hand on him is gonna kind of snap him out and have him flinch just a little bit, and he'll turn and look at her and say, "Yeah, sorry, I'm not used to that."
It's not your fault. And it would be wrong of them, foolish of them, to blame you in any capacity for what happened to you. You made the right decision. She made the right decision.
Yeah, I don't doubt that, but this isn't how it should have gone down. Like, we should have gone together. Or we should have just done what we needed to do and set the breadcrumb trail to there. Let them clean up the mess. I don't know.
You can live in a world of would've, could've, should'ves, but you'll only be shoulding yourself.
That
We have
was
to live in where we are now, what we're going through now, what we know now. And we have to have faith in Jester. If anything, she has that silver tongue that should at least buy her some time. Time for us to make a plan, time for us to decide what to do next. So before we meet with the others, don't go in with repentance, but don't go in with overconfidence either. Go in focused, ready, able to offer suggestions. You have nothing to apologize for, but you have no reason to come after them for being worried or distressed either.
That's fair. I'm not going to blame them for being concerned about her. I wonder if it would be a different level of concern if it was her driving back right now instead of me. But we'll get to that point at some other time.
What would you do if you were in her shoes right now? If you were the one being held instead of her?
I'd probably already be dead.
That's not much use to anyone now, is it?
No. Like I said, I don't think she made a bad decision. If she was making a bad decision, trust me, I would have said something about it.
Lucas,
I just think it was...
I've known my fair share of Shadow Lords in my time. Some more than others. And I can tell you this, there is a time to represent your tribe proudly, to embody your patron. And there is a time to remember that a part of you is just a human, a person with feelings and emotions, with vulnerability. And there is no other opportunity that it is safe to be truly vulnerable than with your pack. This is your pack, even though it's still taken some getting used to, and it may not have settled into that thick skull of yours. This is your pack, this is your family, this is your set. You need to think of them just as much, if not more, than you think of yourself. Because no one, and I mean no one, on all of Gaia is going to stand with you more than your pack.
Yeah. We need to get her back. That's what we need to do.
We will. But don't go in thinking that guns blazing is the way out of this.
I'm not in a rune. Believe me, guns blazing is definitely not my way.
No, but I know that when a guru gets a hold of one of them claves, that's their go-to answer when dealing with other guru. These Fenris, they are other guru, albeit misguided. And you and I both understand what it is to be labeled, to be outcast, to have backs turned on us. Just something to keep in mind. It is likely that it will come to a fight with them. But I can tell you that this pack that is taking you in, they had every reason in the world to turn their back on me, and they didn't. They brought me back from the breach. They gave me a purpose. They renewed my focus and my vigor. And I will always be indebted to them for that. Because even my own kind, my own tribe, didn't come to seek me out and restore me.
You know what that feels like. And yeah, I'm glad that they did that. But let's not subject them to any of that stuff you were cooking when I met you earlier today. That might drastically change their opinion on the subject.
Fair enough. You continue driving. On the opposite side, though, Aspen, You're riding in the back seat. Charles is in the front driving. And you receive this message from Lucas asking you to meet at the Sept. What's going through your mind?
She's worried because for Lucas to reach out, it seems like it's important. She's also frustrated because it almost feels like every time she gets something figured out, something else goes wrong, and it's becoming a pattern for her, and it's really frustrating. And her trying to be the best leader that she can be, like it feels like it falters at times. So she's sitting in the back, just kind of looking out the window, tapping her finger on the side of the seat, just hoping that the car could somehow go faster.
Though the ride is smooth, you can tell that Charles is well exceeding the speed limit. He seems to be moving with urgency, but an intense focus that his eyes don't even look back to the rearview mirror. They seem stared straight ahead on the road in front of him. After a few moments, though, he does clear his throat. Not all news is bad news.
I can tell you from experience that if it wasn't bad, they wouldn't have contacted me.
I'm not saying the circumstances couldn't be troublesome. But you have to look past the immediacy of the situation. One of the boons of our patron, our tribe, is our ability to look beyond, into the distance. The falcon sees the entire horizon in front of them. If you look with immediacy and urgency at what is right in front of you, you can't plan the steps beyond.
I understand that. I get that. You make sense. It's just how do you plan for something when you're going in blind?
Don't allow yourself to be blind. Work out the possibilities of what likely happened. Use your foresight. What is the most likely scenario? You knew or know what they were sent to do. You know who was sent. What is the likely outcome of that situation, and what are you going to do about it?
There's a few likely possibilities. They were found out and they left, and now we need to reestablish what we're going to do with the whole cult. But I would assume, well, assuming, right? I shouldn't assume. Worst case scenario, they're both stuck there somehow, but then Lucas wouldn't be meeting me, so that's not the case.
What else do you know?
I know they went in there to do some looking around at the RV park to see what they could find out about the cult, bring it back so we could establish what we wanted to do moving forward.
And if everything went according to plan, what would the result have been? The most likely result.
The most likely result is that Jester probably would have texted me, let me know that they got back. We would either talk about it when we all got together again, or she would meet me somewhere and we would have a conversation.
But that's not what happened.
I understand that. And that's why I'm worried.
Worry is not the trait of leaders.
Of course it is, Charles. Of course it is. They may not tell you that they worry, but of course it is. Everyone who cares and needs to lead over the people that they care about, they worry. And that is an excellent motivator. It tells you that you care and you're passionate. Now, too much worry, I understand, can blind you or make things hazy, make you make the wrong decision, but you should always worry about the people you care about.
I didn't say people don't worry. I didn't say guru don't worry. Leaders don't worry. Because when you are leader, when you are assuming the leadership role, you must always be vigilant, ready, prepared, anticipating, and yes, sometimes assuming. Aspen can worry. The leader of the Sept cannot. The leader of the Sept needs to be able to act, to respond.
I'll work on it.
I believe you. The luxury sedan turns down the street heading towards the driveway which leads into the memorial park. The gates are already unlocked and opened when you arrive. You can see Artie must have already beaten you here first, and you can see Regina is pulled into one of the parking spots, and shortly after you turn in, Lucas's truck turns in just behind you. And both vehicles move up towards the parking spot, or the parking lot, pulling into various spots, the engines cutting off. Aspen, as you look over towards the truck, you can only see two individuals in the truck currently, Eliza and Lucas, as they both climb out of the cab. The scene is yours.
Aspen, saying that, will take a deep breath, exhale for a long period of time, push back her shoulders, and get out of the car.
Lucas will get out of the car and take his cell phone, turn it off, put it in the cab, and he'll turn to look at the car Aspen's getting out of and kind of rub his head and start walking towards her. We got a problem.
What's the problem? Tell me.
We got made. They got the jump on us. Things got complicated. Now, yeah, it's a lot longer of a story than that, but we should get inside.
Absolutely. And she'll turn and start walking.
Follow her in.
You make your way into the private hall that is set aside for the Sept, specifically hidden deep within the large concrete buildings of the memorial gardens, usually used for entombing remains. This private hall would normally go unnoticed, probably unrecognized by most mourners who visit the memorial gardens. But you, being the official owners of the gardens, have repurposed what was once likely a storage area into a meeting place. And when you make your way in, you can see that Artie has already arrived and set up shop. The lights are on. He is seated at the table that has been placed out for meetings, working away at a laptop when he looks up as you both make your way in. Hey.
Hey, Lucas was gonna tell us what's happening. Why don't you start from the beginning?
Yeah. Artie, could you bring up like a map of where the park is, where we went?
Sure thing. He starts typing away at the keyboard, and he plugs in a small little device to the side of the laptop, which immediately projects his screen up against one of the white painted walls on the inside of the building, freshly painted, allowing it to become a projector of sorts. As he types rapidly, a map image overhead pops up on the screen, showing the roads that are encompassing or encircling the area. He highlights the park itself. Lucas, looking at the map, you can immediately recognize where you pulled the truck over, the woods surrounding this particular RV park, as well as the path that you took leading into the encampment.
Okay, so we parked about 200-300 yards past the turnoff into the trailer park. We got out. We went in on 4 legs. We figured that was the most inconspicuous and quietest way to enter the area. Jester took lead. I followed. Eliza, she was behind us somewhere. I don't really know where. She was a little bit slower than us, and that's fine. We got in closer to the trailer park. Didn't really see anybody. And then we picked up a smell. Another 4-legged friend. We started moving past the trailer park proper, kind of motion around that. I tuned in on a woman who was walking in this area, kind of making a big circle around the trailer park. I got some spider friends. Already can tell you about it. I got in on her cell phone call. Sounded like she was talking to her mom back home. Strangely one-sided conversation. Seemed suspicious to me, so I stayed tuned into that just in case that was a sentry. And if some word got sent out that we were made, maybe she would hang up the phone quickly and we get a little bit of a pre-warning. Followed our 4-legged friend a little bit deeper, kind of skirting the outside of the trailer park, the RV park, and our 4-legged friend found themselves a little lunch. It was about that time we came across a group kind of huddled together. When our attention was kind of on the 4-legged friend, we looked back around. They were all staring at us. Our friend returned to normal form, called us out, kind of had a bit of a standoff. Jester shifted. I shifted. We started talking. Obviously, we were intruding. They were not happy about it. So they kind of made a deal with us. We told them that we were looking for information on leeches and that we wanted help with leeches. This is where things got a little odd. The woman that I was tuned in on, a couple of them broke off, went over there, tackled her, drug her back over, and their leader said that we had a choice. They were going to kill us, or one of us was going to kill the woman. The woman was, according to their words, a spy sent by the leeches. I told Jester, I'll do it. She shouldn't have had to. It's easy for me to do something like that. Apparently I should have said that out loud because they took offense to that and they said, well, now it has to be Jester. So she took point again and did what she had to do. She went to war form and went to work. Now, curiously, I was still tuned into that cell phone, which was still on a call when they jumped her and drug her over. Still no conversation from the other side, but I did hear a loud male voice, a sigh, and then a hang up. So that tipped me off that they're probably right. So we can count on the fact that the leeches know where they are. She finished working. We backed off. They said, "Good job. Now one of you has to stay here. Go have a conversation with their elders or something." I volunteered for that again, but Jester was not going to have that, which is probably the right idea. Then they told me to get lost. As far as what they were carrying, I didn't see any clave wielders, so that's good, but that doesn't account the ones we didn't see. But one of them definitely had a pistol on the hip, so we can assume possibly silver bullets. Problematic. Got in the car, drove a little bit of a distance away, made a nice little anonymous report to the police that something had happened at the RV park, just as a kind of a fuck you to them. And then I called you.
Okay. First, are you hurt?
No.
Turns to Eliza. Are you hurt?
No, they didn't even get close to me. They acknowledged my existence, so they clearly saw me, and as I was looking through to the other side, I saw there were others of them on the other side. They were
Okay.
outnumbered, but they were not reckless. In fact, if anything, I want to credit Lucas and Jester both with their restraint in this situation and their ability to proceed with caution.
Thank you. Last you saw Jester, was she okay? Was she hurt?
She was covered in blood, but not hers and not theirs.
Did they make any threats that they intended to hurt her?
No more than an angry person would be about an intruder. I think that maybe they did genuinely want to talk to her, although I think interrogate is probably the right term to use.
Right. If this was diplomacy, it would be leader speaking to leader.
I don't even think that we laid eyes on their actual leader.
Okay. Thank you, Lucas, for coming to me as quickly as you did. I appreciate that. How many of them were you that you saw?
There were 5 in the group, and then the one off to the side makes 6. Eliza?
2. 2 on the other side.
So that makes 9 plus whatever leaders they have.
Okay. Assuming that none of those were the leader, then at least 8?
It's
9?
possible. 9. Round it to 10 for a buffer and to assume the worst.
Okay. There's no way that the 4 of us are going to do anything about it. I would like to text Aiden.
You send out the text, but you don't get a response.
Does it show that it's sent at all?
It actually is in the process of sending. It is taking its sweet time to get it there, which, by your knowledge of how cell phones work, it's quite likely he's either in a bad reception area or possibly even his phone is dead.
They did say something that was curious to me. They said that they had been doing the same thing for days and days and days. They were waiting for something to show up. Now, I don't know if it was us, but they were doing it during the daytime. So I sure as hell don't think it was a leech. Maybe daytime servants of a leech. Maybe they were waiting for us.
Also, if they know anything about Bloody Mary, they could potentially want to be on guard the whole time because you never know.
Obviously, they had somebody in the camp already.
Right. And that would be assuming that they have knowledge of that, or maybe they were just on guard waiting for a fight.
They definitely wanted a fight. This is not something that's going to be easy.
Okay, Lucas and Eliza, you saw them. You saw what they had, what they brought in front of us, so that's what they're willing to show, not what they're keeping hidden. What do you two, off the bat, think is the best plan of getting her back?
They have numbers on their side. I can take down maybe 2 in an all-out brawl. If I had Jester, we'd be in a better position. But by myself, I can maybe take 2 down. But I don't think that's even remotely an option that needs to be on the table. This needs a lighter touch.
Based off of the way they reacted, the way they were so quick to act, knowledgeable, they are well embedded within their cairn. They have a very firm grasp, a strong understanding of the bond around the cairn. That's the only way they could have detected them. I watched Lucas and Jester. They were moving with agility and stealth in a way that would go undetected by most. I was surprised, to be honest, that they had caught on so quickly, which means that they are not only aware with their own senses, but they are aware of Gaia's presence itself, of the land around them. Something tipped them off, something made them aware, and something felt familiar spiritually about that area. It was unusual, uncomfortable. Like meeting someone you haven't seen in a long while. While there's the familiarity, the connection that you once had, this connection has worn. It has become distorted. Not like the worm, but different. Whatever this is, caution is the best course of action in any attempt to be sneaky or to try and launch an ambush would be hard pressed. If they're watching both sides round the clock, then it's quite likely that they are very aware that something is coming, and they will be ready for whatever does. And if their patron, if the spirits that are settled into that cairn, that place, are on their side, that is another issue entirely to deal with, like the spirits that Joseph and I brought here. The ones that we made terms with, made peace with. They will defend them. They will alert them, and they will assist them. Because be they Fenris or not, they are Garou, which makes them part spirit. Creates a kinship. And for that cairn to have even been awokened, they must have made nice, or at least nice enough, with the spirits within the vicinity.
So we can't snatch and grab. We can't sneak. We can't punch our way through. What about diplomacy? What about going in, saying, that's one of ours? What if we bargain?
What do we have to offer?
Information.
I don't necessarily know if that's going to be something they're going to be interested in. I know these types. I know where they're coming from, and I know what they want. Not exactly. We didn't have any get, but I know what it's like to be in that headspace that they're in. And they want something tangible.
They are Guru. This is true. And while they are servants of Hoglosk now, they are still Guru. It will be a very, very difficult path to approach them diplomatically, but not impossible. But it will be like a hair trigger. One wrong word, one wrong movement, something that irks them even in the slightest could set them off. And if I know anything about them, based off of study and experience, in their minds, they are going to assume the worst of you. That you have lost the path, that you have become a traitor to Gaia, that something infects you, that you are a servant of the worm. Because they are almost delusional in their mission to do what the nation could not.
And I understand that. But they would think the same of Jester, correct?
They likely do, yes.
So it seems ill-advised to leave her there alone and let her fight that battle alone. That's not like us.
No, of course not.
I agree. We do need to do something to get her back. Her being there, every moment she is there, she is in danger. I agree with you 100%. But if we're going to bargain, never, ever bargain from anything other than a position of power. Never.
Strength does respect strength, and they are coming from a position of great strength. However, they are also holding all of the cards, currently. They have something you want. How much are you willing to pay for it?
To get Jester back?
Possibly, yes.
Is that a question?
It's a hypothetical. I know that we would do anything to get Jester back. But they might want even more than that.
Lucas. What do you think they would want then?
In a war, there's nothing more valuable than reinforcements. And while they do have numbers, overwhelming numbers, it's a viable tactic. They might be actively trying to turn Jester to their side. They might want cubs. That might be the payment they want. Or round territory. We are wolves after all. And a guarantee of the territory between us and them in their favor might be something that would entice them. That would appeal to their baser instincts. Something is probably dominant in their thought processes. Now, we could wait That is a hard thing to say. I could probably catch one of them out in the open. Put us on even bargain ground. But that's really just going to piss them off even more. They'll probably come here in force. So I suggest two options. We make a promise we don't like. Or we make a promise we don't like. This is a tough one, even for me. I have my way that I would do this, but my way would probably end up with Jester dead.
And that's not an option.
That's absolutely not an option, which is why I'm not pitching it, because I respect it, and I respect you. So
Artie speaks up at this point. This reminds me of when we met Ryder for the first time. He didn't have the bargaining chips, he didn't have leverage, but remember, he was struggling with the same thing that we know they're struggling with. And what did he make us do? Well, what did he coerce us into doing?
A job, obviously.
A very costly job. If the same fire fuels them that was fueling him at the time, they're going to want us to do something, and what they want us to do is probably going to be something pretty severe. To prove ourselves as true to the cause. And they have numbers and leverage, so they can ask for even more than even Ryder asked.
And I can handle severe. But we're going to have to do it together.
To everyone here, you understand that could put people you care about in danger. Just like what happened to Jester.
Minus Jester, and as much as I hate to admit it, minus that turd out in the woods right now, everybody I care about's in this room. So, what's next, boss?
She looks over to Eliza one more time. Anything you want to, any jalapenos you want to throw in the proverbial candy bar, candy bowl, as you say, whatever it is. Go ahead and do it now.
I can't help but thinking about the familiarity of it all. Something stood out about this particular encounter. I have encountered Garou of all shapes and sizes, even those called mythical. And they didn't feel familiar, they felt wrong. There is something unexpected about this encounter, something that we're missing, some piece of information we don't have about this. I've tried reaching out to the spirits known to haunt that area. Many of them haven't responded. Any sentries I've sent to look either returned empty-handed or didn't return at all. These individuals know this place. This is not a random encounter, a random occurrence. There is a purpose here. Why here? Why now? There are plenty of places to fight the worm, but they are driven here.
And we ask the one spirit we know knows the most.
Very well.
Lucas, would you like to meet Grandmother Willow? Officially.
Yeah, I think that's probably a bit overdue.
Good
Yeah.
then. She looks to everyone and starts walking out of the building.
Eliza follows behind. Artie pauses for a moment, looking at Lucas. I'm impressed. I thought I had a good read on you, being that we are of the same moon. But you're surprising me, and that doesn't happen very often.
He'll take a step back and do a little open-armed bow and smile back up at him and just go, Bragabash.
Bit of advice. Whatever cards you're holding to your chest when you go to talk to her, you better have a really good, tight grip on them, because she's unlike anything I've ever dealt with before. And I think unlike anything I'll ever deal with since. She makes Eliza's gaze seem playful. With that, he packs up the laptop and goes to follow Aspen.
I'll hang back in the room after everybody's headed out. And I'll just kind of stare at the wall and I'll just whisper, Hushgut.
Despite your calling out to your ride-along companion, you don't feel a response. They don't seem to be present in this place at this time. Which is unusual because they're pretty much always present. But right now, whatever connection there is, whatever kinship you feel with them, it feels distant, held back, barred.
He'll nod and just kind of mumble to himself, stay where you're at. And then he'll head out after everyone else.
Leaving the concrete buildings, walking along the courtyard, past many entombed remains. You pass the fountain, and Lucas, looking towards the fountain, you can see the plants are growing, subtly, slowly, clinging to the sides of the marble that makes up the fountain, starting to crawl their way up, like fingers reaching out of the ground, heading towards the top. You pass over the fields of graves, walking through with the moonlight shining down overhead, stretching the shadows of those graves out across the grass. Eventually, you crest to the rise, where you see the large willow tree reaching up towards the sky, the branches spreading out in every direction. Eliza gets to the base of the willow tree and starts unpacking a bag, pulling out various ingredients and materials. She lights some incense, placing them at significant points around the tree, allowing the billowing smoke to rise up off of the incense. She reaches up above her head, not even looking up towards the sky, where you can see a leaf drops off of one of the branches and starts to fall with a familiarity of as it knows where it's going and she knows where to reach. The leaf lands in her hand and immediately she sets to work, pulling out a mortar and pestle and grinding up the leaf until it becomes almost like a powder. She then reaches into her bag and pulls out a small vial and dumps a liquid ingredient in, and starts stirring it up even more. She looks over knowingly to Aspen and says, "For the taste," and continues whipping up the mixture. And as she does so, she pulls out a few of those sample sticks that you would get from like an ice cream parlor, almost like a tiny little spoon. And she scoops out a bit of the mixture and holds it out to Aspen, scoops out a little more, holds it out to Lucas, and scoops one out for herself. She goes to offer it to Artie, but Artie's like, "I'm going to hang back on this one." And Charles just stands sentinel off to the side, not even acknowledging the offer. She then holds up the stick and places it into her mouth, smearing this kind of mixture, this paste across her tongue. Following her lead, you do so, and there is still a tang, to be sure, but there's also a strange vanilla taste to it that seems to make the tang a lot more subtle, a lot smoother. As you let the mixture soak into your tongue, your vision grows blurry, and after a few moments goes black. But then a moment later, you open your eyes, and you are in the same cemetery in front of the same tree. But to say that it's different would be an understatement. For those who have never looked into the Umbra with their own eyes before, those who have never experienced this process with Grandmother Willow before, it feels very foreign, somewhat uncomfortable. Looking up at the tree, the branches reach out further than ever before, almost going into the horizon, beyond, reaching out across the bawn that makes up the entire cairn, like roots in the sky versus in the ground. At the foot of the tree sits a singular white wolf, and the tree itself, some of the knots and roots mold ever so slightly to form a face. Aspen. Welcome.
Very nice to see you. Thank you for letting me through.
If it wasn't important, I wouldn't have done so, but it is clear you have questions.
We do. And I wish it was more of a pleasant meeting with you today. But Jester is in potential serious danger, and we need information on her captors as quickly and as efficiently as we possibly can.
What would you have me do? I am the
As-
guardian of this place.
As Eliza said, and she'll look over to Eliza, there was a familiarity there, and it seems like they have a reason for being here. And we know that your reach stretches far. I know that for sure. And I was just wondering if there was anything you could tell us.
The knotted eyes on the tree close, the lips drawing shut, almost as if it's a big inhale, but instead you feel the breeze pick up around you, swirling around the tree before dispersing in all directions. For a few moments, silence reigns. You see the tree limbs out overhead, creaking and groaning as if they're stretching, as if they're reaching, attempting to go further than even the farthest reaches that they go to now. Another big inhale from the tree brings a breeze against your faces. And then there is groaning coming from the direction of the tree, off in the direction that you know the RV camp to be, as if the tree limbs are groaning and trying to stretch but recoiling back. After a moment, the eyes open again, and there is a visible confusion, which in the face of a spirit is a strange thing. My roots go deep. My limbs stretch far. Very few places can go beyond my sight, beyond my reach. But when I reach there, my roots become tangled. My limbs I cannot go there, and yet I am there. I cannot reach there, and yet I feel it. I am there, but I am not. The eyes, for just a moment, look down towards the wolf that is perched upon the roots by the tree. They're back. But they have abandoned. They have changed. She looks towards Eliza. He has changed. She looks with a stern kind of focus at first, before looking back at the tree. It's not possible. They may have lost the wolf, sure, but they would never choose a path of fury, of rage. That was not their way. Willow responds, "It has been some time. You wear it on your face. You know as well as I do, Eliza, that the path is ever twisting, ever changing. What once was asleep woke once again, and brought with it a righteous fury." Eliza kind of settles back, almost on her heels. I know what they want.
Okay. You know? And she'll turn to Eliza and turn back to Grandmother Willow, and then give a brief, eye contact with Lucas of confusion. Okay, would you like to tell us here, or should we go?
Revenge.
Revenge on what, if I may ask?
Everything. And with that, we'll go to our 5-minute break, enjoy some artwork from our community, and we'll be back in just a few moments. When we return, we find ourselves in the RV park. We find ourselves with Jester, and we find ourselves with the Cult of Fenris. We'll be back in just a few minutes. Stay tuned, and we'll see you shortly.
St. Petersburg by Night is brought to you through collaboration with our partnered vendors, Wolfpack Dice, Ember Fox Dice, Dragon Ink Dice, Bera the Bard, Champs Tramps, Panchi Artista, and Chromatic Creations. Links to our partnered vendors, as well as our Twitch and YouTube channels, can be found on our website, stpetbynight.com. The official theme song for St. Petersburg by Night is Vampire by Faith and Failure. You can find them at faithandfailure.com. You can follow SPbN on all socials with the hashtag StPeteByNight. If you wish to support our program, you can do so at ko-fi.com/StPeteByNight to help keep the stories rolling.
And we are back. In the first half, we saw Lucas relay the information of his failed and possibly successful scouting trip and reconnaissance on the Cult of Fenris. However, on the other side, in the outskirts of the city, we find an RV park. Night has fallen on the RV park. It has been a couple of hours since Lucas made his way out, since Eliza escaped. Jester, you were taken into holding. You were taken into one of the RVs, primarily the main RV, and taken into a rather modest sitting room, almost like a living room reminiscent of Eliza's. There is an old mismatched pattern couch, an armchair. When you were brought here, the young woman who you encountered outside of the RV had you come in, told you to sit and stay before she went and stepped outside of the room. Looking over the room, it is very sparse, very Spartan. Despite being lived in, this must be the room that Aiden had described when he first encountered the place. You can see a window off to one side that seems to be fairly smudged over, as if grease paint had been taken to it to obscure a view of the outside, to make it hard to see in. But you can imagine him standing outside with Artie, peering through the window, and you seem to be sitting on the same couch where the three prospects once sat, including Kyle. You're left alone in the room for the most part, so what's going through your head during this time?
I have no idea what to expect right now. Really would really want something just to wipe my face off, and if I don't have anything, I'm gonna use my shirt. But trying not to think of the girl right now, and just getting a feel for the room.
Give me a composure and resolve check.
Three successes.
3 successes. You bar out the memory, the noise to the best of your ability. Occasionally, like a very, very faint, blood-curdling scream still echoes around in your mind. But you're able to push back that connection to it all. That was necessary and probably required. It's kept you alive this far. It got Eliza and Lucas out. It was a necessary price to pay. You were able to rationalize the thought process. As you were sitting there rationalizing wiping your face off, trying to get the blood as cleaned up as possible that clings to your skin and your hair. The world, the view of that window, distorts. You can tell that there is a transition from the Umbra happening. And after a few moments, you are no longer alone. There are two individuals in the room that have crossed over. Both of them look to be men in their 40s, to say the very least. Possibly late 30s. But life has been difficult for them. There are wrinkles on their faces, creases. Their mouths are almost permanently in a downward turn, as if there has been a great deal of frowning in their past. If our two guests want to further describe themselves, please do so now, starting with Ethan.
Yeah, Ethan is fairly tall, maybe about 6'2". He will settle down kind of across from Jester, hold out what appears to be a metal flask. Mead for the taste.
And Plato, if you want to describe yourself.
Tall but more slender individual. Keeps his hair kind of in a tight bun, long beard. Goes over to shelf space on the other side of the room. Sets down a journal. Moves back in. Sits a couple feet from Ethan and kind of leans back. And just watches.
I'll take the flask, smell it before I drink it.
Smells sweet. Definitely alcoholic. He will kind of adjust himself and pull his hair back, tie it behind him.
I'll take a drink.
It is potent, and it is very much mead, alcohol, that hits your lips, which at first is actually kind of a comfort, considering everything you've been through within the last several hours, considering the time you spent waiting, trying everything in your power to block out the memories of what had just occurred outside of this very RV. It has a burn, but it is a welcome escape considering the circumstances. You weren't offered anything to drink or eat when you got in here, so it is a surprising comfort, a show of hospitality from these individuals that was, needless to say, unexpected considering the circumstances.
Hand it back. Swishing the meat around in my mouth a little bit to get that last bits of the taste out. Thanks.
You can finish the rest of it.
No, hold on to the flask. I won't take another drink yet.
So you're Jester.
Yeah.
Good work with the power outage.
I get that a lot.
And you're running Ryder's gang.
Running is a very ambitious term there. We're friends.
Why are you here? Not this RV. Not this camp. Why Tampa?
There's multiple reasons for that, but I was called here. Something called me.
Ethan will kind of suck his tongue a little. What called you?
See, I'm not quite sure about that. I'm not great with spirits, so I don't know if it's a spirit thing. The writer claimed it was him, so
Ryder has a history of no one answering.
that's fair.
At
You're
the
with the
mention
nation.
at the mention of Ryder not getting an answer, you feel a little bit of rage swell up inside you. You can take another point of rage.
Close my eyes for a moment.
You're with the nation.
Yeah. I'm not sure
You're-
if it matters here. Much.
You're late.
I was like 10, dude.
Carry it back to whoever's leading you. If you leave.
Oh, they didn't want me to come here, so
You at war?
isn't everybody at war who's in here one of us in this city? Maybe not with each other, but definitely with the leeches.
Some people have strange definitions of war.
Since I've been here, it's pretty much been us or them. So yeah, I'd say I'm at war.
Who's your Arun?
What's your name?
Ethan.
Ethan. Okay.
That's Plato.
I don't feel comfortable sharing names quite yet of others that are not here.
Should I
Yeah,
name them for you?
I mean, if you want to.
Look over at Plato.
He nods at Ethan and then turns back to Jester. Have you eaten?
Not a while, but I'm not really hungry. This'll work. Hold up the flask and take another drink.
Let's move away from the nation for a minute. Where'd you dig up Eliza?
I think it's the same place she's been for however long she's been here.
And you just did that out of the kindness of your heart.
Yeah. Guess you could say that.
Let's not waste too much time on the old woman.
Been following your work. You done good.
Thanks.
You say that like it's an insult.
There were things I would have done differently.
Like what?
Been more open with my pack.
Keeping secrets.
No, but I didn't really talk things over with them when I should have, and it led to some consequences.
Always leads to
Later.
consequences.
Plato kind of glances over at Ethan. Transparency is important. So we'll ask, did you find what you were looking for coming here today?
I mean, I got to meet you two. You're the elders, right? I'm not gonna, this is not a preliminary interview to go meet the elders afterwards.
No.
So I got to talk to two elders of this pack. That's useful. As most likely, neither of us want to fight each other while the leeches present a clear threat to all of us.
Keep going.
Maybe you could meet my leader and we could work on a compromise or something.
Compromise with the nation.
Compromise with the pack in Tampa. Our politics really haven't taken much of a hold here with us these days. I mean, we saved a stargazer. You think they would approve to that?
No.
10 years ago, they collaborated with a stargazer.
And the nation still abandoned the city as a whole.
As they do.
It's what the nation's good at. Abandoning their own.
Or throwing them into slaughter.
They're a bit stretched thin, don't you think?
I think they could use some help. But they're too prideful to take it. Too blind to see what they need.
Or too afraid to do what they need to.
What do you think needs to be done?
Exterminate the leeches first. Every last one of them.
Ethan,
Okay.
Plato, it's interesting that you said that the politics aren't involved because you both know Guru from all over the country came into town, including a very prominent a very prominent Silver Fang who took up residence for a little while and then left an associate behind. So while she may believe that there aren't any politics at play here, evidence would say otherwise.
Who's this leader?
Her name's Aspen.
Aspen. A room.
No,
You're at war, and you're not led by an Arun.
no.
Glance over at Plato.
And glances back and then well, please enlighten us what makes Miss Aspen any better than those who failed before.
We have the past to learn from.
For you.
Yeah.
What do you know of the past?
Do I recognize them from the photos?
Roll me a wits and actually let's go intelligence and investigation.
Can I go with wits?
No, this is going to be memory recall. Trying to remember the photos which are not present in front of you at the moment. You were trying to just recall what you remember seeing.
Two successes.
I would say that maybe there are some similarities. The one Ethan doesn't appear in a majority of the photos. Maybe you caught him kind of towards the back or maybe in a candid shot, but he is missing from a good number of the photos. Plato, however, bears some striking resemblance, but the photos are clearly dated as his appearance has changed quite significantly.
Trying to look at Plato for a moment. You were here before. Think him too. So I guess you were two of the ones that left before the final attack happened.
Those are facts. That's not what happened.
Ryder was trying to send us into a suicide mission. One that developed because of his fear of losing someone he'd grown close to. My best friend. That fear cost us many Guru before finally coming to the conclusion that a strike was needed. This place was lost. The only chance we had was to leave and return. But then Ryder survived, didn't he? Well, I guess not for long. But please, how much do you know about our past?
How do you know you leaving didn't change the actual outcome?
You play chess,
No,
Jester.
not at all.
You know the game, though.
I know of the game. Rules, not so much. Never really stuck with me.
Comes a point where all your moves are forced. can't do anything but what's already played out. And it's just a matter of making them. Then the game ends.
No lack of transparency with leadership. Ryder failed us. He failed my friends. And now they're dead. We're trying to finish what started.
He said he was counseled by someone to hold off because the leeches were using humans as a shield, and they didn't want the humans killed. And then Mary came one night.
He said this.
He did.
And you believed him.
Ryder is not the most forthcoming person, was he? I know he kept a lot of things hidden, secret. He kept his own counsel. Trust me.
Your name's Jester, but I didn't take you for a fool.
Maybe I am.
And I do believe he did the same thing to your friends. No? So not much has changed.
They were an unfortunate consequence.
Like my friends. We're getting sidetracked. I know you didn't come here to have just a conversation, you and your associate and the other woman.
We didn't want to know how many there were of you before we came to you.
Why do you intend to come to us?
Mary.
This isn't. Sure. Why do you care about
Bateman.
Mary? Again, not your fight. Why are you here?
I was called here and it's my fight now.
I don't know who called you. May have been Ryder.
Tell me about this call.
I just felt a pull here. I mean,
You really aren't in touch with the spirits, are you?
not really, no.
Humming.
Though it made sense for me. I was also digging up dirt on a corporation that my group and I were protesting. And they had a lawsuit going on from something that happened here. So it was kind of two things.
Kismet. Same for the rest of you.
But probably, yeah. A little bit
Probably,
deeper.
but you don't know.
I know all of us felt drawn to the city. I don't know how the call happened. It was personal for each person.
Your Theurge doesn't know.
He had some ideas, but he wasn't always open with telling us about them.
Lack of transparency again.
Was?
He left when the Karen's gone. Or the Karen was up.
So how long before the rest leave?
I don't plan on leaving.
Not you. You're different.
That's why we're talking to you.
The others don't plan on leaving.
Around the grease-painted window, it becomes illuminated as flashes of blue and red start to light up the grease-painted window. Plato, Ethan, you feel a disturbance in the bawn of the cairn. Something has arrived. Something has intruded. Something with very strong intention, suspicion, curiosity. As you feel this, a few moments later, you hear the door to the RV open, and the young woman in the tank top comes in. Cops are here. Said they heard something about some activities that took place recently, maybe even a murder. What do you want us to do with them?
Plato kind of looks at Jester.
I've been here.
Keeps eye contact as he take care of it.
All right. She turns and starts making her way out of the room, but as you can see her turning and making her way, Jester, you see she starts to grow. Make me a wits and awareness check after she departs.
Three successes.
The RV itself almost bows a little bit under a strange sudden weight as the young woman steps out of sight. And then a few moments later, chaos breaks out outside of the trailer. Utter muted chaos. You can hear metal rending. You can hear screams cry out that are cut short very quickly. And after a few moments, the light that is hitting the greased over window goes out.
You really don't care if you draw their attention here, do you?
Bill H has owned every one of those gigs.
Right. You don't care if they come here.
They know we're here. They're scared. In their fucking holes.
You want them to know we're coming. You want them to know they don't have the same tools they had before.
And that wouldn't help them anyway.
They still have Mary, though.
For now.
Yeah. but she's got a leash.
So what? You're saying the leash will keep her from coming here?
No. I'm saying that's why you're here. Leeches are hiding. We want you to help us make them stick their heads out. So we can bite them off.
So you want to use us as bait?
Not bait.
Agitators?
Came in here saying we had the same enemies.
We do.
I'd like to think we can use that.
I can't make any final decisions, but I wouldn't say we'd be unopposed to the idea.
Leeches have to eat. It's the only place that they're all weak.
So you want us to go after their food sources?
Yeah.
Like the energy plant?
More precise. Ryder was never much of a thinker.
You have a place, or are we supposed to find that out?
Well, you can't make decisions now, can you?
No. But I could take information back.
Our packs agree to help each other. We take the leeches out. After that, we see.
Okay. Does that mean I get to go?
You're scared.
No, but I really would like a shower.
Question for you. How long did you hold ours?
Your what?
Up to Plato.
Plato looks frustrated, like he's contemplating something at the moment.
They don't let you in on much, do they, Jester?
No, they're actually pretty open. So if you think we're holding any one of yours, you're kind of mistaken.
What is this Aspen gonna do when they find out you're here?
figure out a way to get me back.
Is she gonna fight?
Probably not. Like I said, she's not in our ruin. She'll probably find another way first, or try to.
Pity.
Not everything has to be handled with spilled blood. Plato stands up. If that's the case, then you could wait here till she arrives. And Plato leaves the RV.
You want that shower? We've got facilities.
I can wait.
Your choice. I wouldn't want to be covered in that.
Just a new set of clothes that I'm going to have to find.
At this point, we transition back to Aspen and Jester. Or Aspen and Lucas, my mistake. As the vision with the tree fades, the knowledge that what they want is revenge, the paste almost completely dissolving on your tongue, you find yourself back in the cemetery, standing in front of a tree that, while you know it's full of life, appears lifeless and still. Eliza stares with a haunted and burdened gaze, still at the tree, but her vision clearly goes beyond the tree to the middle distance. I think
Eliza?
we could talk to them. I think we could work out an arrangement.
What has changed your mind to that?
Now I know who we're up against. And maybe it's not too late.
Then if that's your thought, we move now. Lucas, go start the car. Charles, go find Aiden, please.
It will be done. He turns and starts making his way over towards the luxury sedan, hopping in, starting, and pulling out. Artie looks over towards Aspen. You sure you don't want to wait for Aiden? We're going in severely undergunned now. This turns into a fight, and they're not there yet. This could go pretty badly.
I understand, but we have to get Jester back. And somebody told me recently that leaders do what they have to do.
Okay. I got your 6.
You always do. And she kind of grabs his hand for a second and starts jaunting to the car, like running a little bit.
Both head towards the vehicles. Eliza climbs in the truck with Lucas. Artie heads to Regina and, out of character for him, goes over and opens the door for her as if this is something he's discovered he should be doing and will now do from now on. Hey, if we have to bail, we have to bail. I know. I am going to do everything I can. We're going to do everything we can to get Jester out, but I don't want you getting hurt.
I understand. And I want you to know, if I tell you to leave, you leave.
He hesitates. And it seems like every instinct in him, you can even see him tense up as if he wants to argue a response, but he nods his head. And when you get settled in, he closes the door and moves over to the driver's side. The two vehicles pull out of their various parking spaces and leave the Memorial Gardens. Artie stops momentarily to hop out and close the gates, securing the padlock to the Memorial Gardens, as it's well after dark and nobody should be visiting this late in the night. Climbs into the driver's side once again, and the cars pull out, heading out onto the streets. Lucas, what's going through your mind? Aspen seems pretty resolute that this is happening tonight, and she just sent one of her Arun after another of her Arun, whose status is currently unknown. But it doesn't seem to deter her from moving forward with this course of action.
Lucas is going to turn and kind of, as he's driving, glance at Eliza. You're absolutely sure about this?
She's looking out the window, still with that kind of hazy gaze off into the distance. I don't think there's another way. They could cause a lot of problems for us, and it's better to face this head on.
I'm not gonna lecture you like you lecture me about playing things close to the chest. You give me that respect, so I'm gonna give you that respect. But if there's something crucial I need to know, I need to know.
How much do you know about what happened here before, Lucas?
You know, we never got much word up north about anything happening in the south. I mean, we had contacts in Texas, we had contacts in Georgia, we had contacts just about everywhere else except Florida. So basically nothing.
Before it was destroyed, there was a sept that stood tall in this area. Kind of the last defense of Florida. It held out for a while, but then we started to lose cans one after another. I, of course, was just an observer through most of these proceedings, an associate at times. My advice was sometimes taken, sometimes ignored. Before the can fell, a last-ditch effort was made to try and take out the forces that were against us. Dancers, leeches. Part of me thinks it worked, a part of me thinks it didn't, but while a majority of the Sep's forces were attacking the hive, Bloody Mary showed up and killed the others. Basically, bringing the cairn to an end, the sept to an end. There were those that had been loyal to the sept before, who chose the path of survival. Were they right? Perhaps they were, because they're still here, while the others are gone, Ryder being the last of those that remained behind. Now it seems they've returned, those that left. And they've returned under a new banner, a new name, a new mission. I know
Revenge.
them. Yes. And just like this pack offered a kindness to me and brought me back, I am hoping I can offer that same kindness, pay it forward, and perhaps Bring them back. Show them that the way of fury is not the way of righteousness. The way of anger, while it can be a very useful tool appropriately used, this way is not the way. They have lost much and not recovered from that loss. I hope that if they see that there are those who stayed, those who survived, those who still believe that there is something worth salvaging here, maybe they can be convinced that the way of the wolf is not the only way.
Okay. That gives us something to work with.
Explains the familiarity, certainly. She falls quiet again, and you continue driving. Aspen, your drive with Artie is primarily in silence. He occasionally looking over to check in with you, but focusing on getting where you need to go. The two vehicles staying in sync, driving at an accelerated speed. Eventually, you do find yourself outside of the RV park. Aspen, with you and Artie in the lead. Artie pulls over just before hitting the entrance to the park and looks to you again. How do you want to do this?
I'll take lead. I'll have Eliza with me. You and Lucas will stay towards the back, not say much, but keep an eye on everything you possibly can.
Okay.
And again, if I say take Eliza and Jester and get out with Lucas, you do that.
Just remember what's supposed to come after.
I know. And she'll kiss him before she gets out of the car.
As you both get out of your separate vehicles, conjoining, discussing the plan, Lucas and Artie to hang to the back and just keep their eyes open, Aspen and Eliza moving to the front. You make your way into the RV park. The RV park is quiet. Eerily quiet. Because even though it is evening and you can see porch lights on the various RVs, the insides of most of those RVs are dark. There's very little movement in the area. Leaving the cars just outside so as not to put them at risk and therefore cut off your means of escape, you take to foot, walking down the long gravel roads where the various lots stand on either side. Eventually, the RVs that are parked become fewer and farther between until it becomes a plain of grass, most of the grass dead from where old RVs had picked up residence. You can see the hookups, but you see a lone RV far to the back corner. And it doesn't take a wits and awareness check to notice that there is a police cruiser there as well, but it looks like it has been pulled off further back towards the woods and kind of tucked behind the RV temporarily. You see several figures standing outside, including Plato, who stands amongst 5 others. A woman in a tank top who is currently wiping off her hands and face with a rag. The smell of blood hangs thick in the air. But Plato, you see 4 individuals approach, and you recognize one of them almost immediately. You felt it when she arrived. Your one-time mentor, Eliza Ross, approaching with a shorter woman with blonde hair, and two men. Following behind one of them, Lucas, who you saw with Jester just earlier this day. As they approach and grow closer, they stop probably about 100 or so yards back from where you were standing outside of the RV. You've gotten the report. The cops came. They weren't able to put up much of a fight, and the bodies should be disposed of pretty quickly. Nobody will come looking for them.
I kind of reach out, put my arm on her shoulder. You did well. Make sure everything's cleaned up. I'll attend to this.
She bows her head and looks over towards another young man, Kyle, one of your more recent changes, and gestures to him, and they move their way around the back of the RV towards the police cruiser. Inside the RV, Ethan, you hear a bit of a commotion outside, and through the bond, through the spirits, you felt a familiar arrival. You've been cautioned. They are here by the spirits of the cairn.
Let's step outside.
All right, I'll stand up.
After you.
From the outside, eventually the door opens. Go ahead. Sorry.
I was gonna say I'll side item as I move towards the door.
Obvious, he will reach behind him and pull what appears to be a handgun from his waistband.
The door to the RV opens, and you see Jester step out, followed by another man who joins beside Plato. The scene is yours.
Aspen will look to Lucas and Artie, nod to them, give them a knowing look to kind of take a little bit of distance between Eliza and I, as to not look too menacing. So to kind of keep a distance in that space. But she'll walk forward with Eliza, give Eliza like a comforting gesture towards her, walk up, get not quite, maybe 30 feet between the two large men and Jester. Seems you found something that belongs to us. She'll smile over to Jester.
You must be Aspen.
She'll step a few paces forward and reach her hand out.
Ethan, looking over Aspen, she is the exact opposite of what you'd expect from a leader of a sept, let alone a pack of Guru. She is small, she's diminutive, she doesn't carry the same weight as a Ryder or a Joseph. She is more like Holly, strangely enough. Not the biggest fighter, not the biggest in stature, but very delicate.
He will just kind of stare at your hand. Doesn't make any motion to reach out and shake it.
She'll look over to Plato, still having her hand extended.
He reaches and takes your hand.
She shakes.
His grip is very warm to the touch. Like his skin is almost hot upon contact, but not in a threatening or painful or damaging way. Just there's a lot of anger, a lot of heat in his grasp. Very similar to when you first met Ryder, if not more so.
Good to meet you both.
Isn't, though.
It's always good to have more of us around, is it not?
That
I guess we'll
depends.
see.
I come with no hostility. I'm just looking to get my friend back.
Friend.
That is correct.
I thought you were the alpha.
Of course I am.
Interesting choice of words.
So how can we make this quick so we can get out of here, get out of your hair, and you can continue to do what you do best?
Well, your friend implied that you wanted to talk.
If we can keep things cordial, of course I would love to talk, but it seems that Jester is here, I'm assuming against her will, which changes a few things. So maybe if you let her go, let her be looked over by the rest of my pack, we can have a conversation.
I've put no chains on Jester. She can leave if she wishes. She informed us that you would likely be here to retrieve her, so we waited for you to arrive.
She looks over at Jester.
They have a proposition.
I'm listening.
Even.
Like I was telling Jester, the leeches have gone into their holes. We want to starve them out. Several of them in specific. And when they stick their heads out, we're going to bite them off.
Well, good. Then that makes for a shorter conversation because we're on the same page. I too would like to get rid of their food source and get them out in the open as well.
Jester was concerned that we'd be using you as bait. You don't have any of those concerns.
I'm not concerned with your plottings. Right now, we have a similar enemy, and that makes us allies for now. And that's what we can be if you choose to be.
I like that. Look, Plato.
Plato, the whole time you've been contemplating this, Eliza has not stopped looking at you, trying to seek out your eyes, trying to make some sort of connection, contact with you. What's going through Plato's head during this?
I shouldn't have brought the old woman. They think that will get me to soften. The old woman's another failure and stepping stones is how I got here. He turns toward her and finally kind of acknowledges her. Eliza.
Brandon?
Brandon's dead. He died with the rest of my family.
I thought that too once. I thought the Brandon I knew would never leave his people behind.
I don't think you heard him, Eliza. Brandon's dead.
My
There's
friends
another
got
way.
thrown to die to Ryder's cowardice. Information I advised Orion of. Where is my brother, by the way?
He never gave up. Not on me, not on you, not on us.
No, but you did.
I made mistakes. Many, many mistakes. One of those mistakes was with you, Brandon, and I'm sorry. But this isn't the way. You're exchanging one death for another. Ryder led with anger, and it got him killed.
The difference between us and Ryder. And he gestures over toward the pack currently cleaning up the mess they made. They know what they're in for. We don't hide that from them. We don't let them pretend that they're not soldiers. They accept that. It's a sacrifice they choose to make.
And what about
Ryder
Holly?
didn't give us that choice.
What about Ren?
Victims of the nation's brainwashing.
What about
So-
Alara?
When
Brainwashing's a bold word. Bold word.
Aspen will look back to Lucas. Not
I
like
need the judgment of you
angry
all.
eyes, just stern eyes.
When she gave you that gift, it wasn't for this.
It's for the future. Future takes many, many shapes.
And unlike the nation, we came back.
What do you call this, Brandon? And she gestures to the others.
Late.
It's an
But an
endless struggle.
opportunity.
You say that Rada used you. You're honestly going to look me in the face and say you're not doing the same thing to these young guru who are trying to make a difference, who are trying to do exactly what you're claiming to do. They didn't need to be made soldiers. They volunteered. They chose this. They knew what they were in for too, and they signed up willingly. But they're not going to sacrifice themselves. They're going to fight, and they're going to win. They have done remarkable things.
Sure. So did the Garu of our sept. All I've done is teach these children what it is to be chosen for this life, what it really means.
They're not facing dancers now, Brandon. They have an actual chance now. And you could help them with that chance, but give up this crusade. We're not gonna bring them back. Don't you think I've tried? Don't you think I've wanted to?
They're gone. They can't be brought back. I have no illusions of this. But I can make sure every motherfucker in that city that hurt them can't hurt another.
And what about everyone in your path? Are you going to scorch the ground and destroy everything to get to them?
I'll burn Tampa to the ground and then create something new from the ashes. You can join me.
What does it look like? Your new thing.
We'll find out when we get there.
So you don't have a plan. You just have a burn it all plan and then figure it out from there. How is that better?
Sounds like a lot of smoke and choking Gaia to me.
You care about the humans. Is that what this is?
They have a place here, just like us.
You know why all the monsters come from humans, Eliza? Because all humans are monsters. They're just waiting to hatch.
As much as you would deny it, Ethan, you hatched from a human too.
Just as much a monster.
That's a choice, you know. Humans becoming monsters. That's a choice they make.
I didn't have a choice.
Didn't you?
First time I became one with what I am now, I murdered something very precious to me. Didn't realize it until it was done. That is what we live with. That is what we are. The nation would teach you that this is a good thing to help protect what's here, but we're monsters just like anything else out here.
By that logic, your wolf side would be the one that would be the monster, not the human side, because you didn't hurt something you cared about until afterwards, correct? But that's not what we're here to argue. We're not here to argue who the real monster is, where the worm resides, what's happening, and who's correct here, are we? Are
And
we?
the lawyer speaks.
Am I wrong?
Yes. But not in all of it.
But you are right. That doesn't matter. What matters is the business at hand. We have
So-
reason to believe that there is some kindred activity in an area a little ways from here called Piney Point. We want you to, well, I believe Ethan has more of the details.
That's a choice. The point. They've got things out there. The other is cutting off the head of the tower.
So you're saying you would like us to go to this place?
You could. It's what Plato's been working on. On the other hand, we could kill their king.
And how do you suggest that happening? Right now?
Kings have to feed. Especially when they're leeches. We know where this one does.
And where would that be?
There's a group. Call themselves Tampa Bay Loss Survivors, as if they even know what loss is. They die. The king can't eat. which means he's going to stick his head out.
Good. That's a start. We take care of that. And then what? What are your goals? How do you plan to make your goals a reality?
That's our business.
How far the goals go? Are we
It's up for
dealing
you
with the
to
near
write.
term or the long term?
Whatever you're willing to give me.
Which is nothing right now.
I think
Okay.
I've already given you 2 things.
Okay, so we take care of these things while you what? Sit here?
When you move, we move.
And where will you be moving? If you know where we're going to be, then we should know where you're going to be. Is that not quid pro quo? Is that not how that works?
Transparency?
100 North Tampa. Seat of the king.
So you go there while we take care of the food source. Seems a bit
Take care of
rash.
the food source makes him come out.
So when all
Or,
the go ahead.
like Plato said, take a field trip south. Go to Bunny Point. Clean it up.
So you take care of Piney Point, we take care of the food source. Sounds fair enough.
I'd be willing to come with you to Bunny Point.
That I'd have to discuss with my whole pack. But taking care of food sources isn't a problem. What I do think we should establish is a singular point where all of us can meet without either of us being in each other's respected territory. Does that sound fair?
Agreed.
Good.
You got any place in mind?
Why don't we... Downtown. There's a burger joint. And I'll give him the burger joint that Aiden and I go to a lot.
What we have right now is an idea. What we've just created is an idea. It's not a plan. So don't leave here thinking it is.
I never suggested or thought that. A plan needs an actual follow through and step by step. This is just people speaking.
Push Jester forward.
I'll walk towards Aspen.
Aspen will kind of quickly look over Jester to make sure she's okay, making sure all of that blood is just not her own.
No, it's dried by this point. It doesn't look like she's sustained any injuries.
Aspen will pull out a piece of paper and she will write her personal phone number onto the piece of paper. You guys use phones, right?
No. Plato does.
So somebody here uses a phone. Plato, would you like to exchange numbers so we can meet when we both discuss with our respected packs?
Fine.
Good. She'll look over to Eliza.
Eliza's gaze is unbroken, still on Plato. But she slowly nods in acknowledgement of your look.
Wonderful discussion.
Yes, sir.
Aspen will turn and walk away.
As Aspen, Jester, Artie, and Lucas turn to walk away, Eliza lingers a moment longer.
Plato meets her gaze.
I already lost a son. If there's any part of my other still within you, I'd very much like to see him again.
Stay safe, Eliza. That's what you're good at.
She holds the gaze for a few moments longer before dropping it. You as well, Plato. She turns and walks away.
As
the
they go
pack-
to turn,
Yeah.
as they go to turn away, kind of make eye contact with Lucas. So yeah, does the one finger salute. Do the same.
I'm actually going to pause when Eliza doesn't follow us and wait for her.
The two groups part ways, the pack returning to their vehicles and driving away, Ethan and Plato making sure they leave before returning to their business at hand. We transition to our final scene. Another boardroom, not belonging to Ballard, Anderson, and Bateman, this one belonging to Harland Severn, the seneschal of the Tampa Camarilla. He stands pacing at the edge of the boardroom table, a nervous energy in the air. After a moment, the door to the boardroom opens, and in walks Edward Bateman, who approaches, hands over a file. Well, I was right. They are there. And they are taking no prisoners. Shall I send her? Harland kind of flexes his fingers. No, not yet. Harland is a man who appears to be in his 50s with graying, thinning hair on top of his head, spectacles on his face. He takes off the spectacles and pulls out a handkerchief from his suit pocket and cleans them. No, that's what they'll be wanting. We have time. We have the city. We will wait for them to make a mistake, and then we will move. Bateman, clearly showing tension in his jaw, his lips tightened. As you say, Seneschal. He turns and walks away, pausing at the door to look back over his shoulder as Harland starts pacing the other side. Bateman smirks and then steps out, closing the door behind him. Harland paces a few more times and then calls out, Denise. A moment later, the door opens and a young woman, clearly a secretary, stands in the doorway. Yes, Mr. Severn. I'm hungry. You know what needs to be done. Yes, of course. I'll send them up right away. She steps out and closes the door. And that is where our story for tonight comes to a close. Thank you so much to these amazing players. Thank you to our guests, Kyrie and Devlin, for portraying the roles of Ethan and Plato. Thank you to these incredible players. Go follow everyone on social media. Go follow St. Pete by Night on social media. And if you're interested in what you saw here, you can join us by joining our Discord, which is listed in the description down below. You could find yourself playing with some of these incredible players, possibly joining a table or a one-shot, but joining the community is the best part of all. So come and join us and go follow them. Go follow us. This week, we've got many, many, many programs available to you. On Thursday, we have Don't Get Caught. On Sunday, we have Bloody Strings. Or on Saturday, we have After Dark with another special guest, another part of our Storyteller series. On Sunday, we've got Bloody Strings, which features our dear Noree and Kyrie, run by our dear Devlin. So tune in for that. And then we'll be back with episode 32 next week of Rage Across Tampa. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time. Have a good evening, everyone.
This has been a St. Petersburg by Night production. Rage Across Tampa is produced in agreement with the World of Darkness and Dark Pack. The storyteller for Rage Across Tampa is Kent. Tonight's characters were voiced by Preston, Champ, Noree, Simon, and Walks the Web. Visit our website at stpetbynight.com for more information about all of our productions and how you can become part of our community. Thank you for listening. Until next time, fangs, stakes, and claws out.